Humanitarno udruženje El Iman organizira distribuciju kurbana u 11 zemalja svijeta. Humanitarno udruženje El Iman, naša djeca, naša budućnost. Donirajte svoj kurban danas.
Za kraj emisije, prije odjave, ostavili smo svjetsku ekskluzivu. Legendarni vozač Formule 1, David Coulthard, boravi u Sarajevu gdje učestvuje na Red Bull spektaklu koji će se sutra održavati na ulicama glavnog grada. Dio svog vremena odvojio je i za našu televiziju. Ali Hadžifejzović razgovarao je sa Coulthardom o dugogodišnjoj karijeri, životu, usponima i padovima. Prije odjave obavezno pogledajte ovaj intervju. Mi se vidimo ponovo sutra.
Dear viewers, today we have a Formula One racing legend who has 13 Grand Prix victories. He has raced for Williams, he has raced for McLaren, and he has raced for Red Bull Racing. And he is undoubtedly one of the top Formula racers of all the time. His name is David Coulthard, or if I try to say it in my sluggish Scottish accent, Coulthard. Is that correct?
Very good, yeah.
I'm very glad to have you here in Sarajevo, and it's an honor to be speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
Before I start speaking with you about Formula One, I have undoubtedly a very important question for you, and it's not about Formula One. Celtics or the Rangers, since you're Scottish?
My grandfather was a big Celtic fan, so I guess I was always keeping an eye on what they were doing.
Well, they did win the last Scottish Cup, as far as I know, so yeah. I hope that puts you in a good mood for tomorrow
absolutely.
and for today.
I'm not a big football follower, but it gives me a good memory of my grandfather.
Well, right now at the moment you are a Red Bull ambassador, and this monster beside us is going to be on the track tomorrow. And what can we expect from this Red Bull event? Will we see some speed, adrenaline? What will the crowds experience?
Yeah, well, that's the goal, and I think largely what we've seen in previous show runs is that the crowd go away really buzzing with the noise of Formula One, the speed of Formula One. Of course, we do some little donuts, and the younger generation, I think, enjoy that. But we also have the Drift Brothers with their drift cars. We have some motorbike displays as well. So it's a real sort of celebration of some of the Red Bull athletes that are still professional in what they're doing. And I get the chance to drive a Formula One car.
Well, talking about speed, I have to ask you, what does speed actually mean to you? Is it a way of life? I mean, all the time you're racing, you're trying to win. Is it just the way you think, you act?
Well, speed is a consequence of power, and you know, I don't. Sometimes people say, "Oh, what top speed did you do?" When you're driving a Grand Prix car, you're looking at lap time. You know, it's the lap time. You don't really think whether I'm doing 205 or 220 miles an hour. That in itself doesn't matter, but your overall speed around the racetrack. So. Speed is adrenaline, speed is excitement, speed is having your mind operate at a different pace than everyday life.
Talking about speed, I have to warn you, drivers here in Bosnia, especially in Sarajevo, we drive really quickly. We drive like Formula One drivers, but none of us are actually Formula One drivers. That's a sad fact. But we do have one guy who is Swedish-Bosnian, currently racing in Formula 3. I don't know if you've heard of him, Dino Beganovic.
Okay, good.
And what do you think about the current crop of Formula One drivers that we have right now?
I think they're incredibly high level of performance, and there's a young group of drivers there which are either have won Grand Prix or are in future going to win Grand Prix. So I think the future of the sport for the next 10 years or so is in really good shape.
Now, I'm asking you that question because some data shows that viewership of Formula One is dropping. Is it because there's a lack of competition, or is it something else? What do you think about it?
Well, I think in some territories, like Germany, for instance, there's less people watching, and that may be a factor of them not having a winning German driver at the moment. But in many territories around the world, the sport is growing in its popularity. So I think that it won't always appeal to everyone, but I think some countries are more attracted. Like, you know, China's got more interested now. We've got Guangzhou. You know, we've got Yuki Tsunoda, so the Japanese are more interested. So you're definitely helped when you have a national driver.
Well, with you spending all of those years on track, driving for hours and hours, I always wanted to ask the question, what does go through your mind when you're on the track? Do you have the time to think about anything else? in your case, anything but winning, actually.
Yeah, you become, let's say, within a zone, a comfort zone. So somewhere like Monaco is a lot busier, so you don't really have too much free time. But if you're in somewhere like Monza or Spa and you have a long straight, then your mind is able to think about other things. But I can't really give you an example of a particular moment. But yeah, you become used to the speed. So therefore you kind of slow that down in your mind. And of course you're focused on what you're trying to do. But on the straights, you don't do anything. You're just flat out. So at that moment, you can be thinking about strategy, about pit stops, looking at the weather, things like that.
How would your strategies from back in the time perform against modern day Formula One drivers? How would you drive if you were in a race against, well, today's champions?
Well, I think every generation evolves and learns with the technology they have. So I think to sort of compare eras is always going to be difficult. I think what I would say, if you took Fangio and you took, Jackie Stewart and Senna and Schumacher and all these guys that won multiple titles, if you put them age 30 with the same, let's say, experience, then it would be a super world championship because they were super talented drivers. So it's a bit like football, is Messi better than Maradona because the balls have more technology and maybe the football boots are better? Well, that becomes it becomes a matter of opinion rather than something we would ever be able to prove by fact.
But nevertheless, you believe that Formula One has changed very much since you started driving?
Yeah, it continually evolves. The technology is consistently evolving. But the essence of what Formula One is hasn't changed. In the same way that running, sprinting, the essence of that is still the same. But in the beginning, they were doing, 11 seconds, and now they're doing 9.8 or something. So over time, things evolve. Human performance, how we understand how the body operates, modern science means that physically, mentally, people are better prepared.
Well, obviously you have spent years behind the wheel, and later on you have spent years behind the microphone as a commentator, and now I've also seen that you have a podcast. And I wanted to ask you, how has the transition been for you? Have you found any hobbies? Have you ever wanted to go flying, for example? Since you're the champion of driving, have you ever wanted to be the champion of flying, for example?
No, I'm very satisfied with the opportunity I had in terms of competing. Anything at that level, it just encompasses everything you do. And there's a period in your life, I think, when you can do that. And there's a period, of course, when you want to have a bit more freedom. So the role I have today, I enjoy, and it's business. And, I've developed some other businesses away from Formula One. But in the end, it's not, I don't lose anymore. I don't win, of course, but I had my chance and I had my time. And I don't feel the need to go and try and be good at something else.
So nevertheless, your career has remained in the Formula One world. And I mean, hosting this event in Sarajevo, it's an honor. And is there anything particular about Sarajevo that makes this event unique or special?
Well, what makes it unique and special is it's Sarajevo, and it's a great city. And the first time we're bringing a Formula One car here, and hopefully it'll be something that people remember.
Well, David, I hope that tomorrow we will experience adrenaline like never before, and that the crowds will see something that they could not experience before. And I'm thanking you for this interview and this opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.